Hey you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the south, more specifically Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and even more specifically than that, I am in front of the Hollywood Wax Museum, not in Hollywood, but here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Now, this is a chain of wax museums. There is one in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard. There's another one in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and then there's one here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. This is kind of the new model of wax museum. The old model of wax museums, they put tableaus behind plastic where you can look in and observe them. This is a more interactive wax museum where you take selfies with the wax figures. There's ways to interact with the wax figures. Now, we have visited here before, but I thought it was time to take another look at the Hollywood Wax Museum. So please follow me. And there we have the Mount Rushmore of Hollywood. John Wayne, Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, and Charlie Chaplin. You can see Hollywood star King Kong up there on top of the building. Looks like he's munching on a little plane. Now, here are the stay safe practices. In the building, guests are required to wear face coverings at all times, except while posing for photos. So all right, so go ahead and put our face coverings on. Okay, yeah. Looks like they are providing face coverings if you do not have one of your own. The indoor King Kong as well for photo ops. This gentleman wiping down King Kong's mighty paw. There is some staggered entry, I guess, to give people alone time with the wax figures. We dive right in to Hollywood with some of these celebrities. That is Jennifer Lawrence, as she was in The Hunger Games. Of course, that classic actress, Julia Roberts. We have crazy Jack Nicholson. Looks like he's got a little cigar there. Oh man, what a maniacal looking man. Morgan Freeman right there. Angelina Jolie is a very beautiful woman, but don't get too close to her because she does have a fresh coat of paint. Alright, so it says we can remove our masks when taking selfies with the figures, and it asks us not to touch the figures. Of course, that could transmit germs as well as damage the wax figures. And you're never supposed to actually touch them or scratch them because that makes them so they have to repair the figures. What do we got here? That's Leonardo DiCaprio right there. Alright, sit down, and here with I Dream of Jeannie. It's like we were sitting, sitting in her bottle. Does she grant wishes? I remember the show. I know she does magic. Did she wiggle her nose, or I think that was Bewitched. I feel like she did wiggle her nose. Did they both wiggle their nose? Maybe she wiggled her ears. What did she do? So she blinked. She blinked. Or maybe Bewitched blinked and she wiggled her nose. Leave a comment in the comment section. Who blinked? Who wiggled their nose? Who grants wishes? Who grants wishes, and who is a witch? The Hollywood Wax Museums used to have prop stations where you could have clothing, hats, or weapons to pose with the individual wax figures. I figured those would be gone, just given that it's easy to transmit germs that way. There's the crystal skull. What is it? Dan Aykroyd talks about the crystal skulls a lot. Is it like when they're all combined, the world ends or something? One of my favorite movies, movies I like to just sit down and zone out. I actually will put in the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, the original trilogy. The 4 and 5, not my favorite movies, but he's giving me a stink eye there. I don't know what movie he's currently dressed up for. So it's an interesting process with wax museums. A lot of times the studios will help pay for the wax figures, but they want them dressed up in a certain way. I don't know what movie this is from. Is there any movie you remember where he wears a green jacket? It's the last non-evil person get away with wearing that mustache. This is from a painting known as the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. You see some Hollywood famous people here. James Dean looking very rebellious here at the bar. Got Marilyn Monroe over here. Humphrey Bogart always looks so sad. I do wonder how Elvis Presley got stuck working behind the counter. He's roughly the most famous person here. Somehow he's slinging ice cream. Also, he's got kind of an odd look. Why do his eyes look black? Dead, black, like a doll's eyes. Now Hugh Hefner over here in his round bed looks very inviting, like he wants me to join him. I don't know, Hugh, I'm worried that your bed is a colony of disease, but I can't say no. His name's Hugh, right? Hugh, what is his name? Hugh Hefner, there we go. Hugh Hefner. Now this used to be Forrest Gump's bench right here with Tom Hanks's Forrest Gump, but it appears Hanks has transformed into businessman Tom Hanks, no longer sitting on the bench as Forrest Gump. And I must just say, I am so happy that you're feeling better. Audrey Hepburn previously was having some breakfast here at Tiffany's, and I guess that is unsanitary. They don't want people handling the different food items, so old Audrey just left with an empty table. You do have to appreciate when they switch characters out. Obviously this backdrop was for Austin Powers. You see the little mini disco ball and the whatever those flowers are called. But Austin Powers is out of favor, and so we put very, very handsome Robin Williams in his place. There's Cameron Diaz. And I do believe this neon sign here was the sign that was on the street back when the Wax Museum was in Gatlinburg. So yeah, a lot of people are criticizing me that I haven't seen that many movies. Halle Berry here. See, I know she's very famous. I don't know a lot of movies she was in. I know she was in Catwoman, which was apparently not a very good movie. But I know she's very famous. I'm sure she's been in quite a few wonderful movies. Here we have Eddie Murphy. I believe he got his start as a comedian, and then moved into doing such wonderful Hollywood movies such as Daddy Daycare. Show continues upstairs. And here is Ryan Reynolds. I've seen a movie with him in it. He was in the Deadpool. I don't know which movie he was in where there was a bunch of different cities and different clocks. That wasn't Deadpool, was it? You know, they have some very interesting facts on these plaques. I've never really paid much attention to them. It says his pet peeve is porcelain dolls. He finds porcelain dolls freaky. It says they have real eyes and they look real. Just imagine when I walk by and their heads turn the whole time. So he's afraid of things with fake eyes that look real. I wonder if Channing Tatum would be afraid of his own wax figure. Alright, we're here with Jason Statham. I think he's in a lot of like action movies, I believe. I think remember like maybe kicking doors down, does a lot of punching, kicking, a lot of punching of bad guys. Yeah, you can see the holes left from where they removed the prop stations. In this walkway here, you can get a bird's eye view of King Kong. See how that guy spends most of his day just cleaning the giant monkey paw. Here we have some race car men. This is, I guess, an award that they got for racing. Someday I want to do a video where I replicate the meal he eats with his family, where it's like they get basically a buffet of fast food. They have Wendy's and Taco Bell and KFC all spread out. Now remember, the prop station for Jack Black here for Nacho Libre actually had masks you could put on. I don't think you're gonna see that for a little while. I don't think we're gonna be wearing public masks. One of the few movie series that jumps the shark but keeps being awesome. There's wrestler John Cena. He's got this gold necklace on him, and if you look really closely, they've actually nailed it to his chest. I guess that is one way to keep a necklace on. A very tough one. Bill Murray dressed up. I guess is this Caddyshack Bill Murray? Because it's a golf course. But I think he was younger. It's another famed pro wrestler. We got the Rock here. It's his famed Brahma Bull tattoo. He actually had that covered up. Even though it was really iconic, he had it covered up with a new bull tattoo. Here we have some improv comedy. Will Ferrell here in his money suit. And it's like Adam Sandler is totally freaking out. This is comedian Kevin Hart. And is that a prop that they've... Okay, that's glued to the stool. That's not a prop, it's just part of the scenery. Danger, danger, high voltage. We have, oh, look at that. Chris Pratt from Jurassic World and video screen dinosaur. Yeah, just back away, get out of here. Here we have some former superheroes. Former Batman, Ben Affleck, and former Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. I wonder who the new Wolverine will be. And isn't the sparkly guy from Twilight gonna be the new Batman? Vitamin for health. Here we have Lucy. I'm guessing this Vitamin was probably from an episode of her television show. The Gold Leaf Saloon. We have Django. Django. I think it's just Django. But Jamie Foxx as Django. Let's see, he's got his gun and his hair trigger, ready to put some Quentin Tarantino sized holes in you. Oh yeah, here he is. The guy, Robert Pattinson. He's gonna be the new Batman. He's not a vampire anymore. See, he's looking over there at Ben Affleck, staring him down, telling him, "You ain't Batman no more, buddy. I'm Batman. And I'm Catwoman." Yeah, Ryan Gosling, I think he is, you hear about him mentioned, you know, when they talk about handsome men, I think he's regarded as being a handsome man. I can't think of a single movie. He was in the Notebook, right? Notebook? He was in the Notebook. The interesting placement here, we have John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson. So it must be Pulp Fiction, but it's not, because he had hair in Pulp Fiction, didn't he? He had like curly hair. I think he had longer hair in Pulp Fiction, so the team up is right. The hair's a little off. Here we have Charlie's Angels. See Lucy Liu getting ready there to pick my face off. Cameron Diaz, we have a second Cameron Diaz, so you know that says something when there's two wax figures of you within the same museum. Unfortunately, this one looks to be heavily medicated, but Drew Barrymore, she's very serious about kicking people. See right there, that leg right in my face. The first season of True Detective is one of my favorite seasons of a TV show of all time, and Matthew McConaughey was amazing in it because time is a flat circle. Yeah, here right outside of Eileen's Wine Bar, hanging out. McConaughey. We have Salma Hayek. Hayek? Am I saying that right? Hayek. This is Bradley Cooper. I remember him from The Hangover. It's always the movie I think about when I see him. I don't know what Horn, Jacobo and Associates is, but yeah, Hangover was a good movie. Here we have Sandra Bullock. I remember seeing her when I was in middle school. She was in a movie called Speed about a bus that couldn't slow down. I remember watching that movie, and even as a middle schooler, I'm like, this movie's really dumb. We have the cast of Star Trek. This is, yeah, I don't know this guy's name. I know that is Kirk, that is Spock. This is their friend, and he's operating this highly sophisticated piece of machinery here. And I love his velvety outfit. I like that little gold accents. That's very cool. So yeah, this is Kirk. My understanding, he is the captain of the ship. Not like a boat type ship, but a spaceship that went through space. And again, this guy over here is Spock. It's his best friend, who also, I think he's probably has some sort of role in the ship. I think he's maybe the second captain, or the what is the co-captain? Not the co-captain, but maybe like the assistant to the captain. What would you call that? Here we have Arnie, who has had half his face blown off, but it's okay because he's not a real man. He is actually a robot in disguise. All right, y'all think you can handle this? The horror chamber. Notice if you have a weak heart, bad nerves, or expect a baby, enter this horror chamber at your own risk. You have to be so scared that you have a baby in the middle of a wax museum. Just the Phantom of the Opera, very ghoulish looking individual. I think he does sometimes wear a mask because he is self-conscious about his own ghoulishness. Here we have Mr. Jason Voorhees, which I only recently watched these movies, the Friday the 13th movies. I watched, I'd say about 3 or 4 of them. I'm still kind of confused because his mom, I mentioned this before, so his mom was getting revenge because he drowned and the counselors weren't paying attention. So she got revenge on the counselors, but it turned out that Jason was alive somehow. They didn't really explain how Jason was still alive, but he turned into a big, large, scary man, and then he started killing counselors to get revenge for his mom. So revenge for killing his mom, but your mom was killing to get revenge for him. I don't know. Some people tell me just that I'm thinking about it too hard. Up there's the little creepy puppet from the Saw movies. Very, very gory movies, those Saw movies. But it's definitely a creepy puppet. What's his name? Billy? Is it Billy? I'm thinking Billy. We have Hellboy. You know, he's very, very large, very muscular. You know, I almost think they should call him Hell Man. He's not a boy, he's a grown man. Here we have Boris Karloff, his famous role in The Mummy. Now they said don't touch the wax figures, and I'm gonna abide by that, but one time we visited this museum, when I was over in Gatlinburg, we visited Hollywood Wax Museum, and we pulled the mask off the Scream, the ghost face, and it was Colin Farrell underneath. I've never seen this movie, but love the character design of this devil with this impossibly large horns. Luckily, they have imprisoned the alien in a jail cell. That's where you belong. Always eating people's faces and jumping out of people's chests. You rot in that jail cell. Patrick Bateman from that absolutely amazing movie, American Psycho. They got like a creepy flashing background behind him. But yeah, that's a movie. That's a movie that messes with your head, American Psycho. Predator, another one on my must-see list of movies that I should have seen but haven't. That and that mouth. Mouth is creepy. I think I have a phobia related to that mouth somehow. Some of my first introductions to horror films was Tales from the Crypt on HBO. I just remember loving that show. I don't know if I'd even seen scary movies before, but I loved that the episodes that they have. I remember there was one episode where this guy was running a diner that became really popular, and then he found out that his business partner was actually serving human meat. There's like those crazy twists. I need to go back and watch some Tales from the Crypt. My man Leatherface. I've actually seen Texas Chainsaw 1 and Texas Chainsaw 2, and 1 is an absolutely gut-churning, horrifying movie, but 2 is really interesting. It's actually a completely different tone. It has the same director, I believe, but it has Dennis Hopper is in it, playing this bizarre sheriff who is hunting down the family with his own chainsaws. Now last Halloween I kind of went on a marathon where I was binging some horror movies, and I saw Halloween, the first Halloween, for the first time last year. And I think it is. I mean, I think it is, like, as far as, at least as far as like slasher movies or movies in this genre, I definitely think the first Halloween, where Michael Myers is this they call him the Shape in the movie because he's just this figure, he's not even a real person, he's just lurking and killing. It's so scary. It's like the perfect, I think, the perfect slasher movie. I think it peaked very early with the first Halloween movie. We have Frankenstein right here, and for some reason Sir Ian McKellen is painting his portrait over here. Yeah, I don't remember the part of Frankenstein where Sir Ian McKellen was painting his portrait. I'm sure it happened. And by the way, his name is Frankenstein. Come at me. Bela Lugosi, famous as Count Dracula. In some ways, I think he felt like he was pigeonholed because he was known almost exclusively for playing Count Dracula. He complained about that fact, but in some ways he did embrace it because he was buried in his Count Dracula getup. Here we have the Men in Black with their little dog, and then there's Neo from the Matrix. Looks like this could be a mashup. It might actually be fun. If Hollywood's listening, make Men in Black versus the Matrix. And here is Pierce Brosnan. Brosnan? Pierce Brosnan? Anyway, he's giving his best sexy man face. If I wanted to check out some old kung fu movies, where would be a good place to start? What does he say? He says, I have a very specific set of skills. Little known fact, I have never seen a movie with Vin Diesel in it. Sean Connery right there. I think this movie is Hunt for Red October, where he plays a Russian submarine man. Now, I've not seen that movie. In fact, I think the only movie I've seen with Sean Connery in it is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Taking a moment to sit here with Al Pacino from The Godfather. I have seen The Godfather. I think he was Scarface too, wasn't he? I've not seen Scarface. It's a coming soon sign. I don't know what's coming soon. This is that? It looks like Jim Carrey to me, but I can't say that with 100% certainty. Does anyone know who that is? There's Frank Sinatra, a singer of many songs, has crooned many a tune in his time. Here's another Marilyn Monroe. We had seen her earlier in the ice cream shop with Elvis. That's kind of a way to tell how famous someone is if they appear multiple times in one wax museum. So we've had two Marilyns and two Cameron Diaz's. Yeah, sometimes they just have seemingly random celebrities next to each other. That's Jennifer Aniston, Ben Stiller. The wedding scene definitely suffers from the removal of the prop stations. You used to be able to dress in a wedding dress and stand here and get married to George Clooney. Here we have Leonardo DiCaprio on the front of the Titanic. I don't know where Rose is. He's sitting there with his arms stretched out singing, I'm King of the World. Welcome to the Pop Diva concert. Here is Katy Perry and Taylor Swift, I think. This is Beyonce and Rihanna. She has some wet paint, a fresh coat of paint, so don't put your hands all over Rihanna. And then there's Pink down at the end. Prince shredding his guitar, his trademark wispy mustache. Oh, Eminem has a fresh coat of paint as well. They use the lockdown to put some paint on some of these figures. The Grand Ole Country Concert, not to be confused with the Grand Ole Opry. We got somewhat angry Willie Nelson right there. You have Johnny Cash sitting there brooding, the Men in Black. And you know, this is Pigeon Forge, so we have to have Miss Dolly Parton represented there. And I'm sorry, young lady, I just don't know who you are. Any stars here? It's Bob Marley, and yes, because of the lack of a prop station, you can't put on your own dreadlocks. Here is John Wayne. Here we actually have Jeff Bridges as Rooster Cogburn from the movie True Grit, actually a role originally played by John Wayne. Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan, who I believe were in a Western movie together at some point in history. But man, look at Jackie Chan. It looks, from his facial expression, it looks like someone just punched him in the groin. Get off my lawn. Our final wax figure in the Hollywood Wax Museum, we have Justin Timberlake. It used to be the final figure here was Michael Jackson. The reason they chose to remove Michael Jackson from the museum. Oh yeah. They do sell the Michael Jackson single glove if you want to wear that, or you can. Here's a pirate sword and an eye patch. So I wonder if you can buy these props in the gift shop and use them for your photos. I wonder what their policy on bringing your own props is. That'd be just kind of weird, wouldn't it? Just showing up with a bag of props. Some Academy Awards here. Some of the lesser known categories, such as Best Stepbrother or Best Sister-in-Law. We got some King Kong merch here. You can have a horrifying King Kong coffee mug. Now the adjoining attraction, the Castle of Chaos, is actually still closed down. Now the Castle of Chaos, in there they have a mirror maze, they have a some sort of like 4D shooting game, and then they have a haunted attraction, a zombie-based haunted attraction. I've not been to the haunted attraction. It's called Outbreak. They're really strict. They won't let anyone film in there, so I've not been through there yet. But it actually, from what I've seen of it, it looks pretty cool. I'd love if they would let me film in there at some point. Now I must say, Hollywood Wax Museum, of all the newly opened attractions that I've been to, after everything was closed down during the unpleasantness, I've been to a lot of the reopened attractions. This, by far, Hollywood Wax Museum in Pigeon Forge has the most stringent guidelines as far as, you know, practicing social distancing. It's the only attraction I've been in so far that it requires you to wear a mask through the attraction. Now they do make the exception of allowing you to take the mask off in order to take selfies with the wax figures, but they put additional precautions in there, such as having the time entrance so people don't get all crunched up together, you know, and asking people to not interact with the same figure at the same time. They've gotten rid of the prop stations, so that can't be used to transmit any germs. So very interesting in seeing how they are implementing these procedures, this social distancing and the mask wearing. I don't know, I had it in my head though, I thought it might be interesting, like if you went in there and every wax figure was wearing a mask. I thought that might be just an interesting temporary exhibit, but maybe I'm just thinking out loud here. Yeah, always fun to go to the Hollywood Wax Museum to be able to take your selfies with the wax figures. Interesting to see kind of you know, a new normal on how some attractions are moving forward with putting protections against possible viral infections going forward. If you'd like to see any other wax museums I've been to, as well as roadside attractions, amusement parks, haunted houses, and other fun stuff, check the interactive map in the description of this video. Look to see all places I've been, and you can tell me where I need to go next. Also, if you'd like to help support the channel, consider donating to Patreon. $3 or more will get you a postcard once a month. I'm also now selling enamel pins in my Etsy shop. All that information is in the description. Until next time, this one's in the bag.